800 murdered in Israel on an unprovoked attack kind of makes me stop and remove the good afternoon. Hello, everybody. It is a horrible day, counting day 3 in Israel, the worst such attack on Jews since World War II. More Jewish carnage than in modern history at the hands of Hamas, aka Iran, the Ayatollah Khomeini, who is raging war on Jews, is cheering in the streets and sending boatloads of cash. Guys, this is a podcast dedicated on telling you unfiltered news and information. And it's in our opinion. David and I both have lots of really close sources that are either in the government, in the army, or on the streets. And over the next several days, unfortunately, we're going to be giving you information because even as I get into my office and talk to people that work for me and know me for years and years, they don't even have a clue what's going on in Israel. They don't watch the news because the news is all about Donald Trump and Biden and Hunter Biden. It's not. When you grab women and children, rape, murder, and kidnap, it is a barbaric situation. And you're no longer dealing with people have any interest in a peace accord. David, I'm going to let you take this away because I know it's as emotional for you as it is for anyone there.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who think that this is a great day, as Palestinians and other haters were celebrating in the streets on Saturday, yesterday in other cities around the world, that death to Jews, from the river to the sea, the eradication of Israel. This is the mantra. If you are one of those, go fuck yourself and get off this fucking channel, because I have no interest in talking to you, because you are dead to me. This is about talking to the people who really are somewhere between not sure about Israel, because for years you've been hearing about Israel and the so-called Palestinian plight. Ladies and gentlemen, peace is made at a table. Peace is made through negotiation. You see what's going on with Saudi Arabia and Israel right now. There is a peace, an attempt for peace. This isn't peace. This is all out chaos, war, destruction. I want to give kudos this morning to some liberal outlets who literally finally woke up and said, you know what? This is wrong. If you want to have a war, there's a way to have a war. But Hamas is not a militant group. It's not a military. It's not a government. Don't believe any of that. There was no free elections. There was nothing free in Gaza. They are a terrorist organization. And yes, this weekend, they proved themselves. They are a terrorist organization. And when CNN, MSNBC, The Guardian, CBC, all the rest of you liberal, so-called hard left media don't want to give them the true word that they are terrorists and call them militants, some of you finally changed the tune that this is terrorism at its best. And to hear CNN finally say, how could you go and slaughter hundreds of people, young men and women, children, babies, seniors? Hundreds went to a concert and were slaughtered, not only slaughtered, but the Hamas were dressed in Israeli military gear in order to seduce others so that they could kill them. They shot up ambulances. They shot at police and fire who tried to come and rescue people. They were looking to cause maximum havoc, and they succeeded. There are entire communities. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, in your community, that gangs would come in and take over swaths of neighborhoods to kill you, rape you, take you as human shields. If you're telling me this is peace, then I want to understand one thing. Why does this lady have to suffer? She's a grandmother, for God's sakes. There's appeal all over Facebook for her to be released. Why do these people get to celebrate kidnapping? Why does this girl who went to the concert have to suffer? Why do the scores of key people who are still missing, phone numbers posted all over the place, looking for them because they're dead, missing? This is not the way to negotiate peace. You want your own country? What the hell are you doing? Now, when I heard that the United Nations condemned and this and that, and certain leaders condemned, I was reading very carefully what you wrote. Some went far enough to say it's time for Hamas to go away. Thank you. And then there are those like AOC and Omar and a bunch of others who wouldn't dare condemn in words. And finally, AOC had to put out a second statement. But at the beginning, it's like, oh no. Even the Biden administration at the beginning said, before you go react, let's, proportionate response. Let's call it ceasefire. Ceasefire. Not one word, Stuart. Not one word about returning the hostages. Not one word about war crimes. These same people, Stuart, stood up and said Russia committed war crimes in Ukraine. But here, we're killing Jews. Just like 1939, 1945. It's okay. Stuart, I was disgusted to see the protests, the flags, the people who were celebrating. But today is a day of mourning. It's a day of the world should mourn that this is where humanity is gone. And I'm disgusted today by what has happened.
David, I feel your energy. I think the energy is felt around the world. I think those that don't know, don't understand, and those that think anything else are just deeply and utterly confused, evil. And this is literally the worst day in Jewry in the modern era. Again, this eclipses World War II. And I'll tell you that if the world doesn't allow Israel this time to take Gaza back and expel everyone from that region that has any inclination to self-govern, which inevitably turned into Hamas again, they are supporters. Just like the French that cheered the Nazis driving into Paris, just as the Italians cheered the Nazis going into Italy or in Rome, the Palestinian people that come from Jordan, that come from Syria, that come from Egypt, which are known as the cockroaches of Arabs, are a people. They became a people. They were given a part of land in 2005 to self-govern. They allowed Hamas. The one way on talking to a Democrat or a social justice liberal on news, on the record, on film, do you denounce Hamas? Will you call Hamas a terrorist organization? If not, you have nothing to discuss with them because they are the reason there is hatred. There's an old adage. Jews teach their kids to love. They teach to be acceptance. They teach them to be inclusive. They teach them prosperity over hate. But on the other side, on the West Bank and in Gaza and in Lebanon and in Iraq and in Iran, they teach their kids that Americans are Satan and Israel is the little Satan and all must be burned and die. You think I'm kidding? I can go online and find textbooks from school translated into English that say exactly that. Years ago, and not that many, I was driving down the street and on Halloween, I saw a kid dressed up as a suicide bomber. Yep. As a Hezbollah suicide bomber. Now, guys, this is insane. And if you don't think it's anything else, you're the problem. And for all those that live in the jurisdictions of Omar, Booker, AOC, if you vote these three clowns in, you're the problem as well. Because you're promoting hatred. You're promoting murder. This isn't 800 deaths. It's 800 murders. For the first time called exactly what it is. It's murder. It's mutilation. These aren't enemy combatants. Enemy combatant wears a uniform according to the rules of engagement that every army and every military follows, including militants. Including militants. You don't target civilians, women, children, elderly. That, my friend, is literally barbaric murder and nothing short of that. David?
I got to tell you, Stuart, there are people who are listening today are probably saying, and we're probably going to go over our 15 minutes today, and I really could care less because this is just something that people need to wake up to. Go on to CNN. Forget me. Forget Stuart. And we are highly critical of media because media likes to have biases and whatever. But images and videos are just, they're clear. Go on to CNN. All you liberal lovers out there. Forget Fox News or Newsmax that I spend my weekend listening to and, complaining about a Speaker of the House and because there's no, that I heard all the complaining. Videos, it's the images. And just go watch one of the videos when one of the CNN reporters goes to the Supernova Concert Festival. What she found, the body bags, the hundreds of kids, young people, okay? Young people. Now, as I'm talking to you right now, just so you know, one of the grandmothers I just showed, the 85-year-old, apparently was rescued today by the IDF. I just got it through my news feed. The woman I showed on screen, I believe, is the one who was rescued. Thank God. But this is the talk we're talking. But go back to what I just said. Go look at those horrific images. My cousin sent me a message this morning that his son's classmate is gone. Not only her entire family. Murdered, as Stuart said. Murdered, slaughtered. There are pictures of entire families, young children, barely over the age of 8 or 9 years old. Entire families slaughtered. Why would you slaughter children? The Nazis, you know why the Nazis slaughtered children, Stuart? So that we couldn't procreate, we couldn't continue. This is the mindset. Any American who calls a Republican or somebody a Nazi today has no clue what they're talking about. I am not a Mark Levin fan. At times I find him a bit extreme. But on Saturday night, Mark Levin called it perfectly. This is Nazi-like. You called it like a Holocaust. This is what the Nazis did. Kill, murder, slaughter in any way possible. When you think that you want to kill people and you plan it to the extent that you will dress up as Israeli soldiers to scare to entice Israeli kids to you have to be literally sick. There is no peace, Stuart. Now, I've heard tons of people saying, "Oh, this is a way to derail the Saudi, U.S.-Israel relationship, and this is, Benjamin Netanyahu. You see, he lost the country." I've heard all these excuses in the world. Who cares about the intelligence failure right now? It is a disaster. I agree, both on all sides. And we can point the fingers which all politicians love to do. It's the Republicans' fault. It's the Democrats' fault. They shouldn't have given Iran $6 billion. I get all that. And we can all fight that till the day we die. But ladies and gentlemen, the focus is on the people who are now without families, who are crying because their children, their grandmothers were kidnapped. There are babies in bird cages. And these images are all over the net. They're all over social media. If you support this movement, you are below vermin, Stuart. Sorry.
going to wrap things up. Again, I hope not to discuss this with you in the future, but for whatever reason, I think we're going to be talking about this for the next several weeks.
Stuart,
Thank you.
Hold on, Stuart, when I see governments now passing legislation to deny Hamas, UNRWA, the UN Relief Workers Association there, the Palestinian, money, when they finally wake up to realize that the money that they've been sending hasn't been going to Palestinian aid, but has been going to build tunnels, support terror, to ensure that his Jews and Israelis are killed, when governments finally do what Donald Trump did and cut the funding, we've made the move in the right direction. Until then, the blood is on all of our government leaders' hands. I'm sorry.
David, it's called the old 3-card Monty. Let's talk about more next week. David?
Wednesday.
No, we're talking about it all week long, Wednesday and Friday. Do you want to wrap it up?
Wishing everybody safety, safe return. I hope that we can bring everybody home at this point. And I wish everyone to be safe. My family's on the front lines, both physically and where they're living, and they're soldiers and they're police officers right now. And I think we all want to pray for them to all come home safe and sound.